Welcome home. It's Irish Family History with curious news and notes, celebrating our 4th year of this podcast at the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. One of 6 broadcast series from the head school at irishroots.com. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host, publisher of rare Irish books and information on every county in Ireland since 1978. Be sure to read our blog, complete with links to click on from this podcast, and search our master index and books for free. Molly, wet the tea, Katie, bar the door, Sweeney, clear that floor, and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. Ah, yes, every day's a holiday at the Irish Roots Cafe, and it's show notes for show number 173. Among the topics today here at the Irish Roots Cafe, family name of the day is Gibbons, Irish county of the month is Mayo, searching for Tracy Gibbons, Walk Up, and Merriman. And number 4, curious news, a bull rampages in a supermarket in Ballinrobe. Some people call it Bullinrobe now. Number 5, video of the month would be for Mayo as well, and a little bit of the Quiet Man Museum there. Number 6, curious note, Irish parish registers are getting a boost. And number 7, the 1-minute podcast, May the Cat Eat You and the Devil. And there's something else. We'll talk about that in a second. That comes up in one of our new segments, but it's going to be a fun one today, so come right along. We're moving up to notes from Mike. That's next. Well, remember to listen to all 7 of our podcast feeds if you have a mind to. They're going on. Something's going on every week, and sometimes I wait a couple of months in between some of them because there's only one of me and 7 of them, and I get tired, and the videos are coming up next, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And remember, we've got completely free podcasts, and we have some archive podcasts, and we have, over 100 member-only podcasts, so keep that in mind. And what's happening today at the Irish Roots Cafe? Well, we did show up at the Irish Music Masters workshops on Saturday, and this is the 2nd year for that event at the Irish Museum down there at the Union Station. And I'd say it's the best of the lot for me. A lot of fun, a lot of people from all walks of life enjoying all kinds of music and singing and songs. And I took one session with the fiddle, just observing it a little bit, and one session with Connie Dover like I did last year. And it all was great, I'm telling you. Number 2, last week, Maria Morton made her world debut as a singer on the Song Podcast, and we got an interview and a song from her, which was interesting, and she favored us with her rendition of O Roche de Vahawalia, and it's perhaps one of the best-known tunes in Irish here for those trying to learn how to sing in the Irish language, and that's in America now. In Ireland, I think it's a little different. But she did a fine job indeed, and thanks to Maria for that. You've got a link to all of our songs on and interviews on the blog. And, hey, a head school page is coming up all new, and we've developed some new things there, so keep checking on that little web page. I've added some new links and some fun things, so keep that in mind when you're browsing around, too. Well, now it's time for that 1-minute podcast, and I'm going to pick Hello Fada again, and this one time it's going to be on bad words or perhaps country curses, but they're not really. We won't do anything to embarrass anybody here. But I got a phone call that prompted it all, and here's that phone call. Thanks for calling in, and just take a listen, and we'll follow it up with the podcast.
Hi, I was just calling with a brief response to one of your podcasts, the one about bad words in Irish, and there's a curse that I thought you guys might be interested in, if you haven't already heard it. It's may the cat eat you and the devil eat the cat. Just thought I would share that with you. I love your podcasts, and I hope there will be more coming. All right, thank you. Bye.
thanks for the phone call. And I'm trying to get Renata to do more of those podcasts. And believe it or not, last week at our sessions, we had just that quotation come up, that little phrase. So I'll try to see if I can get Renata to say that out at the next one. I'll record it and put it back on here. I wouldn't try it myself. Here's an excerpt. Hey, this is Mike, and this is Hello Fada, and we're going to talk about some special kind of words today. I think they might call them old country curses or speaking negatively, and I think there might be a difference between back then and now about what's acceptable and what isn't, and something might be completely acceptable back then where there might be certain people in America that would think, oh my goodness, that's terrible. Did you ever learn any of those you might call negative words?
You mean bad words?
That would fit too, wouldn't it?
Right. When I start a class up, inevitably in the first session, someone will say, will you teach us some bad words in Irish? And I'll say, no, because there aren't any.
Oh, nah, that's good. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, I don't know if there are actually, but I was never taught any, and I didn't have the foresight to look them up on my own.
Well, there's enough to do already. We've got so many words. But there are some phrases I've seen you go into a gift shop and you'll see a figurine or a little dish towel and it'll say something like pogma something.
It does not.
Oh, now it's time for the book of the day, or it could be the book of the month, depending on how you want to look at it. And we're going to be looking at County Mayo, Ireland, since it ties in with our name of the month today. And we're going to talk about the County Mayo, Ireland Genealogy and Family History Notes book. And you can go to the link on the blog or on my webpage. We've got more about that book, and that talks quite a bit about families in County Mayo, and it gives some examples and tells you about where to write, who to see, has a few extracts in there on certain names and families. And if you go to the our edition of the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters, and we're going to reprint that map separately, folks. I've got so many of you wanting to get it. But on that map, and that's the oldest map of its kind, really, of its scale, that was done on Irish families' locations in Ireland, and they put it on the map from several different, the Normans and the old Irish. They're all combined there, and it breaks them down into knights and barons and lords and princes and chiefs. So that was going to be a good one. But on that map, here are some of the names. Gosh, I got them all listed on the blog. Maybe 50, 60, 70 of them, I don't know. But names like, of course, Barrett and Burke. And then you got McAveely and McGarry, Nangle, Bannon, Byrne, O'Connor, King O'Connor, McNally, McNulty, McPhillips, O'Cummin, O'Duffy, O'Dugan, O'Finnan, O'Flynn, O'Gavahan, O'Gormley, Grady, Hera, Higgin, Carney, Karen, O'Malley, and that would be Lord O'Malley, I think. The same way with Lord O'Murray, Quinn, Rodden, Ronan, Rothland, Takaran, Tierney, Lord Tierney that was, O'Toole, Pettit, or Petty, Prendergast, Staunton, Sinnott, Taff, and MacHale as MacHale. That's where the H in MacHale becomes a C, and it's MacHale. That's just an example of a common name change in spellings there that might work for one of your Irish names, so I throw it in there. Hey, and remember, we've got a podcast that I'm doing live right now on the computer, and then we've got a blog reader where the computer goes along and reads the blog for you. The blog's a little bit different from the podcast, so you never know just what you might be missing. And then, of course, we've got the blog, which is just the written show notes for this podcast. So there's 3 ways to sort of enjoy it. You can take your pick, and if there's something interesting, you might want to listen to both, because we'll have some impromptu statements on one and maybe a little extra writing on the other where we can't fit it into the spoken version. Hey, and remember, parish registers are going to get more popular. That's the Irish parish registers, and we'll tell you why in a second. Oh, but now it's time for the Magnificent Seven, and here we go. Number 1, welcome Thomas Tracy of Talmadge, Ohio, as a new member. Looking for Mr. Tracy, that's a good one. Believed to be Bezaleel Tracy, wife of Kesia Merriman. What family did he come from? The family went to Pennsylvania, and settled in Ohio. There's some good names. Number 2, welcome new member Joseph Gibbons of Simi Valley, California, looking for Michael Gibbons and Thomas McHugh's family in County Mayo. Hey, and your Mayo genealogy book has shipped, and we're doing your name today. Hope you enjoy it. Number 3, welcome Leland Walkup of Foley, Alabama as a new member. Looking for Andrew Walkup of Kinkit, Ernie, Tyrone, Ireland, found in 1820 in the census in Pennsylvania. Number 4, Thomas McGuire of Chicago, Illinois. Your County Cavan book has shipped. Number 5, Michael Smith of Queensbury, New York. Your Irish Families book has shipped. Number 6, Marlene Early of Warrenton, Virginia. Your Milesian Families of Ireland and 1659 Irish Census. They've both shipped. Number 7, Dorothy A. Burbank of Lee, New Hampshire. Your Irish Families Great and Small book has shipped. Boy, that's good. We're catching up on everything. Hey, and that reminds me, thanks to each and every member, no matter how long you signed up for. Without you, these podcasts would not be possible. Same thing for all you folks buying the books. We need it, appreciate it, especially in these hard times because we get no government grants, We didn't get included on that stimulus program, and perhaps that's just as well. But sponsors are always welcome and needed. Just let us know. And hey, Ireland's first drive-in theater is in what county? That's coming up in just a little bit. Well, it's time for the Irish family name of the day, and it's Gibbons. And that's in honor of the member we mentioned earlier, Joseph Gibbons, who's doing research. He thinks it's in County Mayo. And you can have names that are related to this name, perhaps often used for this name. Names like Fitzgibbons and Gibbonson and Gibbons and Mick or Mac Gibbons. And Gibbons spelled with an O instead of an E, things like that. The vowels can be interchanged. And we found it in variant spelling groups number 618, 695, and 2342 in the Guide to the Various Spellings of Irish Family Names. Got a link on the blog, and that's one of our books on the webpage, too. If we take a quick look at some historical notes on the name, families of the name of Gibbons may stem from any of several separate origins. Some likely come from the family of Fitzgibbon, having dropped the Fitz from the name. The Book of Irish Families, Great and Small, makes note of the Mayo family of Mac Gibbon, and they also adopted, that name was adopted by some of the Burke family. And as our Irish Roots Cafe member today is interested in County Mayo, we find Gibbon and Mick Gibbon listed as among those on the Mayo Book of Survey and Distribution. And that's a name you should remember if you're an Irish family researcher back there early on. The Book of Survey and Distribution. Make a note. Now, they're also listed among the new settlers in County Mayo and Sligo, and they're again linked to the Burke family. And one branch of the name is given in Eris. That's where they're traditionally centered. And they're fairly numerous in our records and in our genealogy books, and they're represented in many counties. And quite well, of course, in the Mayo book, too. And a lot of that information is taken from the Book of Irish Families, Great and Small, which is the master volumes to the Irish Families Project. And if we take a look at the family in the Irish Book of Arms, we see that, yes, Fitzgibbon is listed. And, of course, Fitzgibbon can be shortened to Gibbon or Gibbons. And they're listed as Earl of Clare, known as John Og Fitzgibbon. And there's other information there pertains towards the history and genealogy. And another link is given in that same book to the name, and it shows the arms illustrated in color, and that's Fitzgibbon as well. And, that Fitzgibbon family's been around for a while, many centuries in Ireland, so I think even though they might have arrived with the Normans, they might just call them Irish today. Oh, and remember, coming up later in this episode, Maureen O'Hara announces, well, I bet you can just guess, can't you? That's coming up pretty soon. Let's take a look at, you know what else? Oh, I forgot to mention, this week on the Irish Song Podcast, Harpin' Hank Hogan is going to do that song, Dylan O'Douse, Dylan O'Douse, O'Douse, Dylan O'Douse, O'Dee, Dylan O'Douse, 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 O Dylan O'Douse, O'Dee, or something like that. It's a child's song, and I left Ireland 100 years before I was born, so I'm just guessing at the feel of the song, Ooh, now it's time for sources. Okay, here we are. You know that free master online index, you can search it at irishroots.com and see what names what books your name comes up in. And hey, if you see it just comes up in one county book or two county books, that might tell you where that name's traditionally located, and you wouldn't have to buy a thing. But we do hope you might go ahead and buy it, or at least talk well of it, But we find 62 listings for the name in that book, the Gibbons name, and names like Gibbons and McGibbons in that County Mayo genealogy and family history notes book. Plus, in that book, there's also a Gibbons chart. And I can't remember what chart that was, but it's a Gibbon chart. I put that in the index. And there's a T. Gibbons in the County Meath and Westmeath book. And there's a Mac Gibbons in the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters. And there's a G. Gibbons in County Limerick, Ireland book. And there's Gibbons of Covinger or Covinger in the Families of County Limerick book. And a John Gibbons in the Families of County Dublin, Ireland book. And then there's just a Gibbons in the Families of County Cork book. And, of course, there's a lot of them and a lot more books, so you'll have no time just starting your search up here, but that shows you at least there's going to be plenty of references for you if you're looking for the name Gibbons or Fitzgibbon. It's Around the World in Irish Ways, the web pages and videos of the month, at least what I've found this month for you. Number one, here's an oldie but a goodie. There's a bull in a supermarket in Ballinrobe, County Mayo, and that bull just comes a-roaring in the front door, walks around a few times, and then turns around and walks right back out, but could have caused a little bit of commotion. And I imagine if that had happened here, there would have been a few police cars called, and it would have been on the news every night for a month, but it wasn't that big of a deal there, and some people call it Bullinrobe because of the bull instead of Ballinrobe, County Mayo. But since Mayo was our county, I thought I'd repeat that one. Link on the blog. Number two, the village of Cong in County Mayo, that's of Quiet Man fame. Well, there's also a cottage museum there that they videoed and filmed, and they included it in their little Mayo YouTube piece. So I put that on the blog, a link right there. And number three, the County Mayo Family History Centers. I use that as a web page of the month. Got a link on the blog, and you can find out more about those heritage centers there. And there's the Mayo North Family Heritage Center and the Mayo South Family Research Center. And one of them is in Ballinrobe itself. I wonder if there'd be any bulls running in the door there if you were sitting down talking genealogy with them. That would be interesting. And the other one is in Ballina in County Mayo, and that's a well-known name too. And number four, the Gibbons Family Genealogy Forum is at GenForum. I got a link on the blog. And we also have, coming up is our new video shorts. I'm going to bring them out in a couple of weeks. I'm going to start recording them. So let me know if you have any special requests as far as genealogy or song or anything at all, and I'll try to do it. Give me a shot. Now it's time for everybody's favorite, the final segment, Curious News and Notes from Ireland Today. Number one, Irish Parish Registers are a mainstay of Irish research, as we all know, and they're available at the National Library of Ireland, and they're planning to scan a lot of them and put them online. Now, you'll be able to read the scans on the microfilm at home instead of having to make that trip all the way to Ireland, or maybe even hiring a researcher. You can save that money. They have some 520 microfilms in all, so keep your eyes open in a year or so for that batch to be completed according to reports, and we've got a link to that on the blog. And they're not entering them individually and indexing them like with a typewriter or a computer. It's just the microfilm themselves, so you still have to do a fair bit of work, but boy, it's sure nice they're getting them on there. Number two, top Irish studies programs in the U.S. We've got a link to a list of the top 10. And, of course, Notre Dame University and Boston College are on top of the list. And we first saw that little article in Irish Central Online. Number three, Irish women are noted as professional killers. No, not in a bad sense, I guess. but they're entering the sniper training force in the battle against terrorists. And I always thought that they were already dangerous enough when you crossed them, and now we're going to have to really watch out. Number 4, purpose-built drive-in movie theater, the very first one, and it's a 170-car facility that's supposed to open with none other than the new Harry Potter film. Wouldn't you know it? Link to that on the blog. Number 5, the Cliffs of Moher has been a leading spot for surfing in Ireland, and a new wave has appeared that may surpass even the cliffs, at least for a while. And some say they've been waiting for it to appear for years because the underwater terrain is just made right for it. And if you hunt around on the web, you'll find more articles on it. And I've also got a link on the blog to an Irish Times article. And number 6, Maureen O'Hara has announced a film school is going to open in Glengariff, and she's going to help finance it to the tune of a lot of money. And I can't help but wonder how many people will try to do a little Quiet Man 2 there, maybe in her honor. But could it ever measure up to the original? I don't know, but I tell you what, if I was just 10 years younger, I'd be writing a new script and just continuing it on. Wouldn't it be fun, though? And they'd be in the right area. They say Glengariff's not like a gigantic city. It's got some nice atmosphere, so you could go and do some nice things. That's very good. Well, that's all. We only got 6 today. I should have reached into the hopper and got one more. But our next project I'm working on is we're finishing up the Irish Song and Recitation Festival in the next few weeks. And then, like I said, we're moving on to a new series of short video clips, either on genealogy questions or on song or on any of our 7 podcast feeds, the subject we're working with. And I'll be glad to put something in there for you. If you want it, just drop me an email or a line somehow by mail and let me know. That's all for today, folks. Joseph, warm up those pipes. Remember, we have a broadcast series on Irish song and recitation, on local history of the Irish in America, and on 2,000 years of Irish history, as well as on the counties, and something special coming up on Irish language, I hope. We've got all that and more at our head school at irishroots.com. And we've been known to appear, exhibit, teach, and even sing for your special events. Be sure to book in advance if it's important, and write me at my American address at Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. Leave a message by phone at 816-256-3360. Reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com. Skype me at the Irish Roots Cafe. Get me on MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, and Irish Central. Members foot the bill so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.